So we're really excited about that. And beyond that, we have some things that we've shot that we're hoping to get out very soon, and also we're working on our first cover. So we're just doing a lot of things. But ultimately, we want Loosely Bolted to be a place where we can like try stuff out, and we have a bunch of ideas for things that we want to do, and kind of put those up and see how you guys respond to them, and then from there, like go on to create bigger stories, whether it be a series or movie or shorts or whatever. So
we're also going to have Mary Kate reenact the entirety of the Lizzie Bennet Diaries all by herself. Yes. So I hope that you're ready for that exact same thing.
Do that?
Yeah. God, we should just have you on, like, making all our decisions. That's such a better idea.
Rosie can play.
Sorry, Mary Kate, you're up.
That's Strobiz, you guys.
Yeah. Easy. Did you say Strobiz? Because that's what I heard.
Strobiz. Technical term. Mustache in the back. You've been trying that.
This is like a question to the actors. What I've seen in other like TV shows, movies, all the things that the actors don't necessarily know what's going to happen towards the end of the series. But you guys, I'm assuming you may or may not have read the book, but you had a vague idea of what was going to happen. What was it like at the very end when everything was done? You're like, wow, we're really finished. Was it really as emotional as it seemed like in the videos?
Yeah. We cried. We're crybabies. This one just pat me on the back while I wept.
What's wrong?
I mean, you know, any project that you work on for a long time, it's hard when it's over because, you know, we all became very attached to our characters, we became attached to each other. We're still friends, but I don't see everyone as much as I used to. And yeah, it was all very sad for those reasons, but very, very rewarding from the perspective of playing a character who had this wonderful arc and, you know, kind of ended up in this really great place. And one of the benefits of working on a project where we knew how it ended versus most serial television, you don't, or maybe you have some idea along, you know, down at the end. Sometimes there's a plan, but very often it's really just kind of about putting out, you know, content and what's the next episode going to be. And because we knew our arc so clearly, we really got to go places. We didn't have to worry about, you know, like, oh no, is Lizzie like too unlikable? Because we knew that we were going to come, or we knew what we were setting up, and you know, so that all was really very rewarding. It was just sad when it was over because we loved doing it so much.
And I don't think any of us expected to love doing it as much as we did, and that is in a large part because like you guys loved it so much, and doing stuff for an actor, telling stories. I'm good at talking. For an actor, telling stories that mean something to people, at least for me, is just like maybe the best thing that could possibly happen. And I definitely didn't go into this thinking like, oh, people are gonna love this so much and like have their lives changed and like, but that's what people have said to us, and it's so humbling. And so because of that, that made us want to love it more and work harder. And I know for me personally, I've just constantly was like, I have to tell this story because it's important and I love it. And so that was like, it was just all this like thing that happened because you loved it and we wanted to do it for you. So that's cool.
Yeah, and like I'll just say from behind the scenes, when we started out, we didn't know if we would get past episode 24. We literally, it's like if no one had watched it, we just would have been like, okay, that's as far as we got. Sorry, it's the end. And so getting to actually finish the book was amazing and a privilege. And it's because people watched it and told their friends and kept watching. So
I do want to say when I walked into my first rehearsal, Ashley was sitting down on her stool that she would sit on for so many times. And I walked in and she goes, do you know what the scandal's going to be? It's going to be a sex tape. I was like, what? So, you know, I didn't really realize that was going to happen.
I thought it was a great idea. Okay, dragging around your wrist there in the third row.
It's me. Okay, for Mary Kate and Ashley.
I'll just like get it out. Just like
there's a slow burn as people realize that gradually going through the process.
I'm used to it because
rather, it doesn't faze me that much because it's the first time it's ever happened to me. But as a Mary Kate, she's gotten it a lot.
Right. But you had a question beyond that.
Okay. Mary Kate and Ashley and Daniel. Daniel, yours has an asterisk. Have you read the book? And Daniel, did you like Darcy, or were you just like bow ties and gross person? Bow ties, good.
I like Darcy a lot. I mean, there's a lot of ways that I feel bad. What? There's a lot of. I liked Darcy a lot. I'm starting over. And one of the reasons is from watching it, if you know where he's going to end up, and you're watching the first part of the show, and you like, I actually watched a few episodes today, and I watched the. I did. I was like, "What's this show like?" and one of the episodes I watched was the episode where Jane is talking to Lizzie about. I was like, Jane is talking to Ashley. Who's real? Jane is talking to Lizzie about like. He doesn't hate you. And she's like, yes, he does. And then Jane's doing this impression of what he was like when he's like, oh, I hear the song is good for dancing, and I do like these speakers. And she's like, kind of being really short with him. And
Episode 33.
Right?
Top 5.
But yeah, I was able to walk through other people's eyes, because when you look at Darcy through Lizzie's eyes at the beginning of the show, he seems terrible, but through other people's eyes, you do kind of see a little bit of what's going on underneath, and that there's this kind of like, can't let any cracks show, and that there's actually something that's like very difficult about that for a person. If you're so kind of uncomfortable socially that you don't know how to engage someone and actually ask them to dance, and you can't let them know that you're uncomfortable with how you did it, and then you're just, it's such a tight kind of, he's so tight, he's so not free. That I like related to that, and I actually really, I really started to, love my character.
I love your character too. Your question was if we had read the book, and yes, I had read the book before becoming involved in the project, and then I reread it kind of in the middle of the casting process, actually, just because even before I'd gotten the part, because I was thinking so much about it, and I was like, God, I haven't read that in a long time, and I have multiple adaptations, film and miniseries adaptations of it that I own, and that. I actually haven't rewatched any of those since I used to watch them at least once a year, and now I think it'll probably be a little. I'll take a little break before I return to Pride and Prejudice. But it's a story that I've loved for a really long time, and so when the project showed up, I was like, I want to be Elizabeth Bennet. That sounds great.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I was a big Jane Austen fan as a young person. I tweeted the other day that in 6th grade I made my boyfriend at the time dress up as Edward, and I was Eleanor from Sense and Sensibility in 6th grade. He was very devoted.
I didn't have boyfriends in 6th grade.
I had a pretty.
Those are for her tattoo.
So yeah, I had read it before, and I have loved it very much.
One thing I've been curious about is what the show's done for the actors' careers. I feel like we keep seeing people from the show on like TV shows or commercials all the time.
That's really sweet. I don't feel like anything remarkable. Which isn't true.
Who aren't here.
Yeah, it's like Laura's on commercials all the time.
Known to Craig's going to be on a new show in it's January. Watch out for Mixology on ABC. I visited him on set. Craig, who played Fitz, I visited him on set. It was awesome.
Yeah,
No.
he was in like what, a commercial.
He's on every commercial.
Craig is in like
in your sleep. You're like, Craig.
He was also like took a small part in a movie project.
Probably.
Yeah.
Christopher Sean was on that too.
Yeah, I mean, really what it speaks to is that, we cast real working actors. So, we cast professionals. This is a show that has professional actors on it, and those are people who had worked before and continue to work, in other media. And I think the web is, becoming more legitimate all the time, and if LBD is one more tiny thing, one more tiny Emmy-winning thing that puts another little notch in the belt of like, hey, this is a YouTube show and that's legitimate, then I think that's really great.
Great.
I think that's why you've seen people.
I didn't mean to say that like nothing has happened. That's not true. My life has completely changed, and definitely, it's really wonderful that we have audiences that read our tweets and stuff, and that's something that I have that my friends who have been on TV way more than me don't have, and it's very weird. But it's not my life isn't super glamorous and different. I'm still working. We're all still working towards being at a place where we can tell the stories that we want to tell, and we are so lucky that we got to kind of do it on this and in this way and on this scale. I don't think that happens very often, and for that reason it's been very much a once in a lifetime thing, so that's cool.
I would say, there's, in terms of what it's, the industry is at such a kind of liminal place right now, in terms of its relationship to new media. Some casting directors, some shows it carries weight with, and some it doesn't. Some are maybe even a little bit spiteful about it, or well, it's web stuff. There are still people.
When the Emmy's really handy.
Yeah, it's true though. I mean, it is at a place where it's starting to hold more weight, and that we can say, oh yeah, it was an Emmy-winning show. It's starting to matter to people, and for me personally, I would say when I'm auditioning for better things. I'm going in with more weight, with more there's more weight to it.
It's definitely given me confidence, and that's not something I really had before any of this happened in any way. So I'm very thankful. That's not true, but I hated myself. I never thought I was funny. I legitimately did not think I was funny, and so it was nice to have people be like, "That girl's hilarious," and I was like, "Really? Oh, okay." So
People on the internet will like anything.
it's so true.
It's not true.
And hate everything.
Yeah. This sucks.
We have time for maybe one or two more questions.
Purple.
This question's for the writers. You were talking about having all these social media accounts and stuff like that, and you're adapting a novel. How do you parcel out that information from the book to what media best fits the story?
Well, the central tenet of the show in dealing with Transmedia is that the story has to be able to be told on the video. You can just watch the video and you will be able to follow the complete story. If you want to branch out into the world, Jay can speak to that a little bit better.
And truth be told, I was constantly pushing against that. I was constantly like, you do more stuff, and because I think that's fun. But strictly from a production standpoint, because the videos take so much longer to produce, we would write the episodes, we would know what was going in the episodes, and that would leave the spaces in between to fill in the world, or also allow us to set something up in a video and pay it off in social media, or vice versa. When I first started talking with Bernie about working on the show, and he was like, I don't really have a lot of money, and I was like, that's fine, here's my price. If I'm going to be your transmedia producer, I need to be in the writer's room, because so much of this work that's done on a TV network level and regular feature films, this stuff is an afterthought. And they hire somebody, or they hire an agency to come in after all the decisions have been made, after the show's been shot, after the show's up and running, and say, we need a thing. We need some cool internet-y thing to put here. And you're very far away from the creative decision making. You're very far away from being able to make anything that actually matters, that actually affects the story world or is connected to the story world. So for me at the beginning, a really exciting part about this was to be able to craft this stuff that closely, to be a part of the team figuring out the main story and to be able to figure out where these things slotted in that scheme. It's still a very rare thing, and it's something that we're fighting for pretty much on every project. I think someone could say that's where the Emmy does sort of come in handy sometimes. That is a stamp of legitimacy that helps, hopefully.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question that we can answer quickly, and then I'm going to let all of you guys put where we can find you on the internet and what you've got coming up. Starfleet in front row.
I wanted to ask what advice you have for somebody wanting to start something like this, or on some level, what advice you have?
Perfect. Last question, Jenny.
Do it. It's a big thing. I mean, honestly, that is how I ended up doing everything I've ever done in web, is that I worked in traditional media prior to this, and everything is very regimented and very there's a system that's been in place, and that is the way it is, and it's really hard to break into. And then you have new media where it's just go for it, and you don't have to ask permission. And if you have a wonderful idea, you can get a couple of creative people together, like what we did, and with very minimal resources can make something magical. I mean, I can't even begin to describe how that's what this was for us. Was somebody had a fantastic idea and found some people that could, take that idea and turn it into something physical, and we just ran with it and never stopped running. And I just really encourage anybody that wants to get into that field to just go for it. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yay! All right, very quickly, we can answer, Jenny, by the way. But very quickly, because we also have some swag, and they're going to kick us out of the room. But run down, where can we find you on the internet, and what have you got coming up? I cannot stress this enough. Quickly,
at Jay Bushman at Twitter. And I just got back a couple of days ago from the Sundance Institute's New Frontier Story Lab, where I brought a project that I'm developing, very much inspired by the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, and very much taking this model and trying to grow it to the next level. This will be an adaptation of Hamlet.
I'm at Kate Noble Writer on Twitter, and I believe, as was mentioned by Margaret earlier, I am doing a little bit of work on Emma Approved, but mostly what's taking up all of my time is the Lizzie Bennet Diaries novelization adaptation, which will be out next summer.
I'm at Jenny Powell on any social media platform, and it's Jenny with an I, J-N-N-I. I also am producing on Emma Approved, and I also work for Geek and Sundry, which is Felicia Day's network.
I am Margaret Dunlap. I am at SpyScribe on Twitter and most other things. SpyScribe is there's one there. It's me. I'm doing a little editing on Emma Approved as well with Kate. And I'm working on exciting stuff and none of it I'm allowed to talk yet. So trust me.
Two. I'm on Twitter, Daniel. At Daniel Gord, Facebook.com/ I don't know, Vincent Gord, some stuff at summer. And I did a bunch of stuff over the summer. I have 5 web projects coming out at the same time, and I felt run about having to bring out them all at the same time. But now I just have one that is currently coming, which is called Hollywood Producing Studio, for which I also was one of the was on. It was stars/media. It's on the youtube.com and the Union Pool channel. Also, then besides that, I'm work with my sketch on stuff probably for
we have
act, maybe for die.
Quickly, Daniel, we have 1 minute and 3 more people.
Sorry.
The Ashley Clemson on Twitter. The Ashley Clemson at tumblr.com, facebook.com, the Ashley Clemson. And look at social media. I'll tell you what I'm doing there because we're out of time.
MK Wiles. MK-W-I-L-E-S. I want to loosely bolted.
Yes. Bolted. Yeah, you don't have to follow me on social media, so just follow loosely. Great, thanks.
People that they want to stuff. I think they're going to look out of this room. try me to sign. See outside, gonna kick us at one. But all things. Just be smart. Thank you guys.